This chapter gives us a glimpse into Lucci's past, and we see just how fucked up this character is, and the world government as well. Man. One Piece, chapter 422, Rob Lucci.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed thriller-minute tale of One Piece. Now here we are, just starting out a couple of chapters into volume 44, and man, I tell you, in the last chapter, we wound up actually finally seeing Third Gear, or Gear Third, in action. And it was actually really cool. I mean, prior to that, we had kind of seen it happen off camera, I guess you would say, off screen. But really, we wind up getting to see, you know, Luffy just kind of, you know, go and power up and see how he actually goes and, like, blows up different parts of his body, like, super size. And the chapter ended with him busting Rob Lucci in the face and knocking him what appeared to be way the fuck out. And that's how things left off. Things actually pick up over here, and we wind up getting, you know, we get a little bit of chatter from one of the ships, obviously the warships. We know that, of course, Enies Lobby is, you know, under the Buster call now, and one of the crewmen or what have you know, says, "Vice Admiral, you know, should we do this and this and that? You know, what are we gonna do to capture Nico Robin, right? Because that's the end game." And he's like, "Listen, dude," and he gives you this whole backdrop and background on Rob Lucci and the type of bad mamma jamma that he is, right? So apparently Rob Lucci, like, in addition to probably being raised by wolves and like a Jungle Book style type deal, is just this cold-hearted, trained assassin killer, right? And apparently back in the day, right, the story goes, there was this kingdom that wound up being, 500 of its soldiers were captured by these pirates, right? And the demands were, if you don't make me king, I'm going to go and kill these 500 soldiers from your kingdom, right? So they go and they send Rob Lucci in, or Rob Lucci gets in, or whatever the case is, gets sent in, let's put it this way. And he's basically like a kid, like a preteen, I'm thinking, you know, 12, 13 years old or something like that. I might have even mentioned 13. Anyway, dude comes in there, right, and slaughters all 500 of the hostages. And I'm looking at this, I'm going, huh? Why are you going to slaughter the hostages? What the hell sense does that make? Slaughters the hostages, beheads the fucking pirate, you know, captain or whatever, and you know, tragedy averted. Prior to that, though, winds up taking a bunch of shots, cannonballs, bullets, everything else, and as we know in One Piece, number one, the guns are shitty. Number two, they're pretty inaccurate. Number three, even when they do hit you, you can take like 10, 20 bullets in One Piece and you can survive, right? So that's the type of universe I want to live in, you know what I mean? Because here in the real world, unless you're like Suge Knight or one of those type of guys, those rapper guys that gets, or 50 Cent, where you get shot 27 times, most people, you're kind of a one and done. If it hits you in the wrong spot, no more you. But anyway, I'm getting off the beaten path over here. So it gives the whole backstory and kind of gives you this feeling and this, just the whole deal behind Rob Lucci has always been very cryptic. We just kind of knew he was the bad guy, and he's just kind of the antagonist, so to speak, in here, you know. Nonetheless, though, this gives us a little bit of insight into just how twisted and messed up this character is. So, you know, it's just kind of trying to make you even more fearful of him. So, and what the Vice Admiral was getting at is that Rob Lucci is the one that's on the case with this one. He's the one going after Nico Robin, so don't worry. He doesn't need any of our help, right? So, anyway, we wind up getting a brief, I guess, a brief showing of Zoro and Nami and everybody else, Sanji, who are all running through that underwater tunnel, which is now becoming flooded because of, obviously, what Rob Lucci did a few chapters ago. And they're pretty much screwed. They got water coming from the back, from the front. Zoro's trying to cut through the wall. He can't. He's like, I can cut through iron and steel. I don't know what the hell this is made of, you know? And the bottom line is it's underwater tunnel. It's probably reinforced with something, you know, some sort of steel. I think Sanji says something like that. And you pretty much are left with them just about to be drowned and completely screwed, right? So Rob Lucci, then it goes back and it cuts to the Rob Lucci. And the whole rest of the chapter is Rob Lucci and Luffy just fighting and just duking it out and what have you, right? And it looks as if Luffy's starting to get the upper hand on Lucci, you know? He's turned into leopard form, but he got jacked up, you know? And he's even said, I'm losing consciousness. I can't fall into the water. He winds up actually getting propelled outward from the tower that they were fighting on and lands on one of the warships, right? So, lands on one of the warships and everybody's like, what the hell is this? Is the devil through you? What are you doing? Why are you on my ship? That sort of situation. And he doesn't say a thing, just turns back into, you know, the cool, stoic-looking Rob Lucci dude that he is, you know, but now he's shirtless, right? So he's walking around, you know. And everybody's like, oh my God, that's Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci of CP9? I'm so sorry. And then he says something, you know, like, oh, just, I'm tired, stop talking, I'm tired of hearing your voices or whatever, you know, something along those lines to show how much of a bad man he is, you know. But anyway, Luffy winds up coming at him, and he's in midair after he propels himself in midair, and then he comes down and he's, you know, and he does a giant axe, man, just foot gets huge. Now, we always like the battle axe that he does, right? But this is like the giant foot and just goes, and just stamps down into the warship, you know, and I'm thinking, damn, Luffy going to sink some ships, you know? And even everybody's like, what the hell is going on, you know? Lucci winds up dodging it, and he realizes that Luffy, the bigger he gets with some of these moves, yes, they're powerful, but the more power he generates, the slower he gets is really what it is. So he's going to use that, I'm assuming, over the next couple of chapters on the seesaw battle that are usually these main battles of One Piece, to kind of use that, you know, to certainly try to get the upper hand again on Luffy. Luffy winds up going and nailing him with a couple of different things. Lucci winds up pulling out this Tempest kick, right? This basically like an upgraded version of his Tempest kick, which we've seen some of the CP9 guys do. And this thing winds up coming out of it. It's like Solar Wind Tempest kick or whatever. I forget the exact name of it. But he winds up going and snapping the mast of the ship in too, right? Then what really killed me is towards the end of the chapter, right in the end, last couple of pages, you get one of the other warships, right? And they're like, they see what's going on, you know, on ship number 4 or whatever. and they're like, they know that Lucci's there, that he's fighting this straw hat, everything else, blah, blah. And he says, all right, take aim at, you know, ship number 4 and fire on my count or on my mark, you know. And the guy's like, but sir, we got 1,000 men on board, right? And this shows you the world government, the type of people they got, the cream of the crop they got working for them, right? Dude pulls out a gun and shoots the guy for questioning his orders. Now listen, I'm not in the military, but I have family that is, and I don't think you get shot for questioning an order. I think you can be reprimanded, court-martialed, all those type of things, but execution usually isn't the first thing you go to. But I just liked it because it was just like, poof. And it was kind of like, anybody else got any questions or objections? Like some shit you see out of a movie, you know? But I like that because they go, and then the chapter winds up ending with them all going and firing, or several of these ships looks like firing on that one, you know, warship, and willing to sink their own ship with 1,000 of their own men on there to hopefully get this most dangerous criminal in the world, you know? All in all, a very cool chapter. I enjoyed it. I can't wait to dig into the next one over here. Sorry, I didn't know where the hell to put the volume. So I'm still kind of getting acclimated to the whole studio area here. I'll actually probably do a video sometime soon as I'm getting things finished up and kind of show you, give you a tour of it, because I've got a little setup for my son and I for like their gaming station, and actually got my computer and webcam area. But I'm trying out some new things here, standing up and just sort of having some more energy to bring to the reviews for you. So the chapter question that I had, though, for you, brothers and sisters, is really, what are your thoughts on Lucci and his background? I personally thought it was a little bit cliche, you know, it was a little bit like 80s action movie, like the bad guy is just, you know, he like eats scorpions just for breakfast because he like, you know, fucks with like poisonous snakes just because it's cool, you know. Kind of like the Chuck Norris legend, you know, Chuck Norris can beat anybody type thing. That's kind of how I felt, and I felt that it was a little too much, you know. It's like, oh, this kid goes in and slaughters the 500 hostages, you know, and it's like, I know it was just trying to give you that sense of Rob Lucci is a bad motherfucker, but I don't know, for me, it seemed a little bit overplayed and a little bit overdone. But I'd like to know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.